Hey soccer fans, it is Friday morning, May 8th, and this is Nick with the next episode of the Feed the Fire podcast, bringing you a quick preview of the Chicago Fire's next matchup against New York Red Bulls here in Chicago at Soldier Field, Saturday, May 9th, 1:30 p.m. kickoff on the lakefront. Wanted to quick give you some updates about the Red Bulls so you kind of know who we're facing and what to expect out of the Eastern Conference rival here. Now, the New York Red Bulls are currently sitting 11th in the table on 12 points. Meanwhile, our Chicago Fire up in 4th place on 17 points, though, like we've said, they've benefited from a favorable schedule to this point of the season. Now, the Red Bulls currently have 3 wins, 5 losses, and 3 draws, 16 goals scored, 27 against, for a goal differential of -11. Now, on the road, they only have 1 win, 3 losses, and 2 draws. So that bodes well for them coming to Soldier Field to face the Chicago Fire. They're also coming in poor run of form. They're 23rd overall in the table, and while they opened the season with a couple of wins, and everyone was very high on new first-year head coach Michael Bradley and playing the kids, playing their young talent, they have since dropped off those first couple wins. They have 3 losses and 2 draws in their last 5 matches. Their 2 most recent matches being a home loss to Dallas and an away loss at Cincinnati, both of those 2-0 scorelines. Now, in the Red Bulls' last matchup against Dallas, they lined up in a 4-3-3 formation. They had Ethan Horvath starting in goal. So there you go, another good American goalkeeper in MLS, seeing if he can compete for a potential international spot, though given Pochettino's rosters, I don't think we're going to see Horvath anytime soon in the national team picture, though he definitely made his mark in tournaments in the past. For their center backs, they had Tim Parker as well as Dylan Nealis. And if you recall, Sean Nealis, brother of Dylan, was also on this Red Bulls team for a very long time, but departed this offseason. I forget exactly where he ended up. For their outside backs, it's Matthew Dos Santos on the left and Juan Mina on the right. In the midfield, you have Adri Mehmeti, Ronald Donkor, and Emil Forsberg. Forsberg, even though they line up in the 4-3-3, we see Donkor and Forsberg playing a little bit more out on the wings. Up top for their striker, young homegrown 18-year-old Julian Hall, left winger Jorge Ruvalcaba, and right winger Cade Cowell. So that's how they ended up starting, and then they brought in players like Nehuen Benedetti, Rafael Mosquera, Mohamed Sofo, Jaquil Marshall-Ruddy, guy who had kind of made a bit of a name for himself. It was TFC, I do believe, and then Eric Maxim Chuopo-Moting coming off the bench for the striker spot, a very capable and dangerous MLS striker. So the Chicago Fire backline are going to have to account for a number of good offensive players on this Red Bull team, and they are going to have to be poised under the pressure and the press that this Red Bull team brings. They are a young team with veteran presence in Tim Parker, Dylan Nealis, and Emil Forsberg, and veteran experience and talent and skill in those players as well. And so these young players will be able to press and to run and really get after the Fire. They are not going to have any sort of trepidation or any sort of hesitancy or aura against playing the Chicago Fire, and it will be up to Parker, Nealis, and Forsberg to keep them structured and to keep them playing their brand of Red Bull soccer. Now, just a little something about their roster. They do have 3 designated players. Ruvalcaba, Forsberg, and Chuopo-Moting are their 3 DPs. But they have a number of homegrowns on the roster as well who have seen playing time. So Marshall-Ruddy, considered a homegrown, surprisingly. Who else name pops up? Julian Hall. Schweitzer, backup keeper, Mehmeti, considered a homegrown. And then on the supplemental roster, who will also potentially get some minutes, we see Roald Mitchell, we see Aiden Stokes, keeper, we see Sergei Ngoma, So they do have a number of homegrown and young players that they are trying to develop, and so they're going to be given opportunities here with Michael Bradley. Again, no expectations for the Red Bulls this season. It's kind of a rebuilding season, if you will, a reset season. And so these young guys are really going to want to get after it and prove themselves. Now, on the senior roster, there are some names, right? Justin Che, Robert Voladair, Cade Cowell, as we mentioned, Cam Harper, Dylan Nealis, Tim Parker. These are some of the senior players that are on this roster that are going to be kind of leading from their experience. We also see Victor Bogish, Dennis Jengar, Gustav Bergen, Nehuen Benedetti, Marcelo Morales, Andy Rojas, and Juan Mina also on the senior roster here, but international players, and also Ronald Donkor, senior international players. So they have they've got a core of young guys they're trying to develop, but they also have these senior international players that they can lean on as these players develop. So it's a good mix of a roster. Now it's just got to all come together under a new coach, under a new philosophy. But how has it gone so far from a statistical standpoint? Your top goal scorer on the Red Bulls, Julian Hall, the 18-year-old, 6 goals and 2 assists to add to that. Then you have Ruvalcaba with 3 goals, and then it is Donkar, Chuopo-Moting, Forsberg, Sofo, and Mehmeti, all with a goal themselves. As far as their assist leaders, Donkor, Forsberg, Mehmeti, and Cowell all have 3 assists. So when it comes to setting up the goal, they have a number of players that they can look to. They are not as one-dimensional as you would think, thinking it's just Forsberg to Hall. They have a number of guys who can set up. You also, again, have Hall with 2 assists, and then several players with 1 assist each. And if you want to look at key passing as a statistic to who's kind of orchestrating things, we see Forsberg with 21, Donkor with 19, Cade Cowell with 15. So those are the 3 guys that are generally in the middle of the attack, launching the attack and getting everyone moving forward. Want to mention Julian Hall again because there was a nice little story about him on MLSsoccer.com, and it starts by saying that his breakout 2026 season is no overnight success story. This 18-year-old homegrown forward is in his 3rd full MLS season. He was one of the league's youngest players in 2013, making his debut at 15 years old, 190 days, and the 2nd youngest goal scorer when he scored last year, or at 16 years and 87 days. So he has been with Red Bull Academy. He's been at the senior level now in his 3rd year, and they are trusting him to continue to develop while also contributing on the score sheet and helping lead this team. Quote, "I kind of try and make that my personality, being a mature guy and leading by example," said Julian Hall. And with 6 goals, 2 assists so far, he's done just that. The U.S. Youth International recently became the youngest player in MLS history, 18 years, 11 days, to score 5 or more goals in his first 6 appearances of an MLS season. And let me just say, who's keeping track of all these statistics? 5 or more goals in first 6 appearances and the age they do it at. That's phenomenal statistics there. He also continues by saying, quote, "I didn't think I would be so blessed to have such a good start to the season, but that's credit to all my teammates for setting me up in the best way possible," end quote. So you've got Julian Hall as a player who has emerged with the Red Bulls as a go-to attacking option and someone the Chicago Fire will absolutely need to keep an eye on in this match. Of course, Emil Forsberg is the main guy, the name to know, the star player, the all-star, a guy who can do everything the Red Bulls want him to on the pitch, but is especially dangerous on the wing, taking defenders one-on-one, playing those crosses centrally, as well as being their go-to taker of free kicks and probably penalties, I would say. Who has taken their PKs this year? Let me see if I can see that. No PKs taken by the Red Bulls, so hopefully they don't get there first against the Chicago Fire in this match. I am encouraged to see that they have given up so many goals thus far this season, 27 goals in 11 games. So just over 2 goals a game on average. I think it's something that the Chicago Fire should really take advantage of. And heck, I'm bringing my whole family to this match tomorrow. I would love for them to see the Chicago Fire get on the board to the tune of 3 or 4 goals against a leaky, spotty, not the best, pick your adjective, Red Bulls defense here. Though Red Bulls will be pressing, and so I think the Fire will have to look to counter. I think they'll be able to do that. And of course, it's going to start with none other than the Chicago Fire's goal leader and MVP candidate for the league and team, as well as Golden Boot leader in the league, Hugo Kuipers. And he is also now on the league MVP radar. So Kuipers has 10 goals. He's done it in a lot less minutes than Peter Musso, who also has 10 goals. Also, assists are the first tiebreaker, but I think they both have 1 assist, so that's what's keeping Kuipers ahead of it. We even have Sasha Kljestan writing who are his MVP favorites right now, and he's got guys like Timo Werner, Nico Sekiris, Hugo Lloris, Rafa Navarro, Hani Mukhtar is kind of like in the mix, but his top 5 guys right now are Leo Messi at 5, Peter Musa at 4, Sebastian Berhalter at 3, Hugo Kuipers at 2, and Sam Surridge at 1. And I think he's getting the edge because of some of his link-up play, and I don't know how many assists he has, but I would assume he's got a couple more than Kuipers at this point. But what does Sasha Kljestan say about the Fire forward? He says Kuipers also has a shout for the most lethal striker title in MLS. He has had a ridiculous start to the season. After only playing 7 games for Chicago, Kuipers has scored a joint league-high 10 goals. He's scored in every MLS match he's played this season and has 3 straight braces in the last 3 games. Now just imagine if Kuipers had converted his 2 penalty kicks that he had missed this season. So that's going to be an interesting question, something to look out for, Fire fans. Do they keep Kuipers as the penalty taker after he has missed 2 PKs in 2 consecutive games? Now, I think he has the mental fortitude and the talent to continue to do so, but who is it the captain's call? That's something I would love to hear from some of our Chicago Fire beat reporters. So if anyone out there is from Men in Red or Men in Red 97 or On Tap Sportsnet or Shy Sports Nation, CHGO, any of you guys, ask who's making that call. Is that predetermined by the coaching staff and saying Kuipers is our guy, or is that up to the captain, whether it's Jack Elliott, perhaps Anton Saletros filling in, perhaps Philip Zinkernagel filling in? Which one of those guys, or the captains making the decision on who's taking the PK spot? Or do they say it's Kuipers? Kuipers is the guy unless he passes it on to someone else. So that, I think, would be an interesting question to see, especially if a PK is taken or awarded to the Chicago Fire in this matchup. But again, I still have all the confidence in Kuipers to have the mental strength to overcome his 2 misses, to kind of look at his approach, to correct it, and be ready to step up and bury the next one with the opportunity that he's given. So, with all that being said, Red Bulls are always a tough team to play at home or on the road. They have talent, they have a young core, they've got some veterans who know their way around MLS, but as a whole, I think the Chicago Fire are a better team. I think both offensively and defensively, the Fire will be up to this challenge, and I'm predicting that the Chicago Fire will win this match 3-1. And yeah, Kuipers is going to get one, and it's just going to be a matter of who are the other 2 goal scorers, and can the Chicago Fire keep the pressure on their opponent after giving up leads twice to Cincinnati and to St. Louis in 3 of their last 4 games. Can the Fire keep their foot on the gas? Can they see this game out? And we're going to have a lot of questions about that, whether they win, draw, or lose, and how the result is played out. So something to watch for, Fire fans. Who's going to be taking the PK? What's Kuipers' confidence like? How are the Fire going to see this game out if they can build an early lead? And how are they going to account for the high press and Julian Hall being ready to pounce on anything and add to his goal scoring tally? So with that, I look forward to seeing you all at the match this Saturday. Please remember to like, subscribe, rate, review, share the show, grow the conversation around soccer in America, including the Fire and MLS, and let's go Fire.